what does the future hold for AI roles and AI teams in your view?
I think we're going to start to see more interdisciplinary collaboration. I think this is going to be extremely important for a number of reasons. The whole point of AI, again, these models is to deploy them to customers to discover new use cases. This is not just about model builders anymore. It's about model builders plus folks who can help with discovery, plus folks who are domain experts who can actually help maybe fine-tune the model or train the model to be specific for the domain. I think we're going to see increasing interdisciplinary collaboration to make impact.
Don't forget to subscribe to Data Neighbor wherever you listen to podcasts and YouTube. And drop a like and comment below. It keeps us bringing you great content like this.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Data Neighbor podcast with Shravya and Sean. Today we have Shelby Heineke joining us from Salesforce. Welcome.
Yeah, excited to be here.
Hey Shelby.
Hey Shravya.
So nice to chat with you.
Yes, it was so good to meet you at the Women in Data Science event too. So really happy we can talk more here.
Yeah, totally agree. So for viewers, Shelby and I, we met at a speaker's lounge actually in a IBM Women in Data Science event. Shelby gave a wonderful talk on small language models and her work at Salesforce.
Yeah.
So very excited to get a bit into that and also everything around being a leader in this space. So
yeah, I think we have a lot to talk about today.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Why don't we start with Shelby? Could you give our audience a little bit of a background about kind of like how your journey started within AI and like where you are right now?
Yeah. So, excited to talk a little bit more about that. So I am coming from a math background originally. I did my undergrad and even my grad school in math. That was my passion. It's still something I'm totally interested in today. It's just during grad school, I had some exposure. This was a long time ago now. So this is before the ChatGPT days. But back then it was, it was more about machine learning, the classical machine learning, the old days, right? So in grad school, I had some internships where I was able to see that, okay, this machine learning is really impactful. This is a thing and it's really interesting. It also uses a ton of math too. So during my PhD, I pivoted actually. I started doing pure math, pivoted to machine learning. So I ended up graduating with, PhD focus on machine learning. That set me up for AI. So after I finished my PhD, I started at Salesforce as a research scientist, working on some different directions, LLMs of the time, by the way. So this was 2020. So the LLMs then were more BERT models, much smaller than LLMs today, and some other directions too. So started as a research scientist. Fast forward 5 years, I've been there for 5 years. I now lead a research team. So I have researchers on my team. I have engineers, applied scientists. We do a lot of research ultimately for our customers. That's really what we think about. We're thinking, okay, 6, 12, 18 months from now, what are our customers going to need? What do we want to what do we want to deliver to them? So we're building AI and AI agents, small models, as Shravya mentioned. We're thinking of on device. We're thinking of robotics now. We've got a lot going on. There's a lot. The future is bright. Working on a lot of cool things.
We need this message more and more.
Yeah.
The future's bright, guys.
Yeah, the future's bright. Yeah.
That's cool. That's awesome. I mean, that's a lot of stuff that your team is kind of like responsible for.
Yeah.
It sounds like there's a component of research, there's a component of application, there's a component of forecasting, if you will, the future of where things are headed. How do you, or I guess, kind of tell us a little bit about how do you actually run the team, like based on all those constraints?
Yeah. So it's a very interesting environment. We're a research team, but this is not academia. Let me be clear about that. This is not academia. We're a research team in a big enterprise. So that really shapes our goals. That really shapes on what we work on. So you'll notice a lot of the research we're doing, it's very in line with the way the tech industry is going, with the way the company is going. So if you look at what Salesforce is doing now, for example, Agentforce is is like our biggest product.
Yep.
A lot of companies right now are deploying agents everywhere, right? So agents, agents, agents. You look at our research, it's about pushing the boundaries of agents. So our research is aligned with what's going to be needed, what's not here yet, but will definitely be needed. So yeah, so that's how our research agenda is really shaped. We're pushing the boundaries on what the enterprise is going to need. So it's that mix, as you mentioned, of exploratory, but with an applied vision.
How do you sort of like set roadmaps? We have a OKR, we have a milestone we need to hit, we need to ship this product, we need to measure this thing, and so it's very very milestone driven. How do you kind of think about a little bit more open ended?
Yeah, there's actually a couple of ways that we create roadmaps. First, I would say that as a research org, we have a North Star. We have a North Star, and that's a bigger vision, a bigger goal. And so the research that we work on aligns with that. So I can tell you, for example, our current North Star is what we call Enterprise General Intelligence. It's a play on AGI, Artificial General Intelligence, right? So EGI is our North Star now. And what that really means is getting agents to perform for the enterprise. Because as we look at current agents today, everyone's showing amazing demos, but when it comes down to the real enterprise tasks, agents aren't there yet for many, right? We're building. So if you look at all the research we're doing across the org, not even just my team, across the org, all the other teams, it's all research that align with getting agents to that point. So,
Got it.
so that is how. So we have again, to summarize, we have a grand plan as an organization split up into multiple research projects across the org. That's one key way that we build roadmaps for our research. Now, I want to also address the other piece here that, as I mentioned, we're not just a pure research lab. We're a research lab in an enterprise. What is the next step? So we also work closely with the different products within Salesforce. So Salesforce has so many different facets. You've got data cloud, there's marketing tools, there's sales tools, there's service tools, so many different tools, so many different products. We work closely with them as well to see what needs they have, and we work hand in hand to build a roadmap on what we also want to deploy. So those are the two mechanisms that help us build our roadmap. And that's how we achieve both that research and we actually get things in the hands of customers.
Got it. How, I'm guessing your stakeholders would be, can you dedicate 100% of your time helping us ship X, Y, and Z? How do you kind of balance that?
Yeah, it's project by project. There's no one way. There's no one way we do that. It really depends on the priority of the project. It depends on the timeline of the project. You know, for any specific project, say it's a product project, typically even our involvement can change. Sometimes as a research team, we're mainly the model builders. Sometimes we are not only building the model, but we're also helping with deployment. It just depends on each project. And within each of those projects, who's working on even changes. So it could be a researcher and an engineer from my team, or maybe just an engineer, or it really just depends on the needs. It's super flexible and it's very versatile.
So, Shelby, this is so interesting that I imagine it's not like one product or one project, right? What I'm hearing you is you're across like multiple areas. So, with agents and anything we could do around agents, there are like multiple ways we can go about it. You could do horizontally, try multiple, multimodal, do one audio, do one video, like in or within the use cases, you basically have multiple use cases that are broader.
Yeah.
And there's like within a vertical, you could go in depth, right?
Exactly. Yes.
I mean, the deeper you go, the harder it is probably to get to a stage that you could replace entirely a manual process or like
exactly. Yes.
So how do you deal with it when it comes to research and projects? Like, what has been something that you could do it with a considerable amount of success when compared to something that you've been like harder to, the quality and emails you couldn't basically get to there yet?
Yeah. This is a great question. Yeah, happy to share some stories. I'm happy to share an example of something we did see to production only a couple months ago now. And I think the reason it made it to production was there's a number of reasons. So let me first give a little background. So in Salesforce, we have what we call Data Cloud, which is this data foundational layer. I'm sure every product has a data platform, right? Our data platform is called Data Cloud. And in that Data Cloud, it's the first step that customers do when they're using Salesforce. They need to first upload all their data, and then they can use the sales marketing tools, all the cool things that's on top of it. Now, here's the problem. When a customer's uploading all of that data, it's usually spread all over the place. It's usually across different platforms, so it needs to be merged, it needs to be cleaned up. What we did is we trained small models that can help with that step. Because it's all text data, if you think about it, right? Customers are ingesting all this text data. You can use a small model to help with the unification of that data. So that's what we built. So this is something that we deployed only, like I said, made it to production. Customers now have access to it a couple months ago. But I think what was really important, why this didn't just die at the demo stage, was for several reasons. First, the scope. This scope was super crisp. We were not trying to boil the ocean. We were here's the situation, here's the type of data, here even the type of fields that customers even ingest. Given this small enough scope, let's come up with an AI model that will do this quickly and easily and accurately. So super crisp definition of scope. Second, we had at the very beginning, before even moving forward, we created an evaluation set. That is also key. Before any work is done, we work closely with PMs to define what evaluation set should look like. That takes time. And you want this evaluation set to really reflect customer data. So that was another important piece. So those are okay. So actually that's already, I feel when I think about what a successful AI project looks like that makes it to production, those two things are huge ingredients. Like crisp scope, or a well-defined evaluation set that everyone agrees on, including the product owners. So we're already in good shape. At this point, we had both of those ingredients. At this point now, yes, I had to handle the cross-functional relationships. Yes, we have to train the models. But we built those two steps, laid the groundwork for this to be a success. So yes, we trained the model. There's some mechanics there there's some tricks we did there. So for example, we use only small models so that we can make it fast. We want that step. If you think about data unification, it's nothing. We don't want customers stuck at that step. No one wants to be stuck at that step. It's just something that needs to get done. So the faster, the quieter, the faster, that's what we want, right? We want the step to be essentially seamless for the customer. So we needed a small model to do that fast. Not that a large model couldn't do it. We just need a small model to do it fast.
I have one question
Yeah, of
before
course.
we get into, very interesting project. I'd love to know more. But
Yeah.
before we get into, I wonder before, probably 2 years before, what was the solution for this? Were customers doing it themselves? Do they have to do it with a customer to get on a call? Like, how hard was it? Like, I
Great
understand
question. Yeah.
it was crisp, but what are we replacing it with? What was the
Yeah.
original thing that you're looking
Great
at?
question. So the solution before was a very limited rules-based solution.
Okay.
Which is better than not being able to do any sort of unification at all. But with an AI-based solution, we're able to pick up on a lot more nuance in the text data. There's no way to capture every data nuance in handwritten rules.
Makes sense.
So yeah. So the AI model allowed us, these AI models, for example, they're trained, as you know, they're pre-trained on tons and tons of data. So they already have the language, a pretty good understanding of language in general. So a lot of these nuances can be captured with language models.
So this data, to be specific, are these sales phone calls and emails that were sent? It's like a combination of multiple types of text, I would assume, right?
Exactly. It's a lot of different fields. It could vary widely, but the ultimate, you can think of this as lots of different fields about customers, about businesses. Because a lot of our customers are businesses, right? We're B2B. So so they're using Salesforce to manage their customers. So
Yep.
it's just, you can think about everything that would be related to customer data. So it could be customer names, customer addresses, business addresses, that kind of data. So all
Got
text. Yeah.
All text.
So it could come in whatever format they want. Your agent is now able to sort of like, instead of being very rigid in this is the format you need to come in with, your
Yeah.
agent knows how to parse it, where to put things in, and like you're off to the races.
Yeah, well, there's a little nuance there. There's a lot. The system is pretty mature. So when data is coming in, there's already some steps for making the format uniform in some sense. So there is some
Got it.
normalization, of course, and that doesn't need, I mean, yes, you could pass in. So that's another, it's almost philosophical a little bit, but like sometimes you don't need AI for every step. So when it comes to
Yeah.
normalization, it's so basic that can just be a fast rule. But yes, but when it comes to actually determining, hey, is this Shelby in this database the same as this Shelby in this database? That's where AI is really good at looking at all the signals and saying, no, they're not, because the last names are
Got it.
different, or they look sufficiently different that these are not a match, do not merge. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, I'm taking notes here because I can use that
Oh
in my work
yeah.
as well.
Yeah,
That's a good
totally.
trick. Small models to handle this.
Yeah, and I think yeah, it's and like I said, we tried, okay, can we pass this to large models? Of course large models can do it. Of course. It's just that for this case, to my point I was making earlier, it's really about delivering something fast and that is seamless for the customer. And so a small model just brings that speed that, yeah, so it worked out. So yeah, this is so I think there's a couple ingredients here that really made the project go from demo to full deployment.
And these are the ones that I think that the new world will have, right?
Yeah.
Capture nuances, and ensure that, the right apt amount of detail with the right ingredients are available. In the past, I think a lot of it had to be you get what you get and you infer from it and then you customize it. And there's a lot of work from the customer to do this.
Mhm.
These type of solutions available that captures the nuances and makes it easy. Now,
Yeah.
higher level, it's all about even more higher level layer of work
Yes,
being
yes.
handled at with
Absolutely, absolutely. Definitely.
I th- I think it's really eye opening here is the fact that you mentioned this a little earlier, which is a lot of things look flawless in demos, especially agents, where
Yeah.
like looks like it does everything. So X, Y, and Z is getting replaced tomorrow.
Yeah.
But like the success to it is you have a very defined problem space, very
Yes.
contained problem space. There
Yes.
is the fact that not everything requires an agent because agents
Yes.
are not that smart, and it's really hard to get them to kind of behave. The more vague it
Yes.
is, the worse the worse it
Yes.
performs. And it's good
Absolutely.
to kind of hear from you firsthand that hey, that's not a myth. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's the non-glamorous parts, yeah, right? That actually take things from demo to production. Yeah. And there's
That's
more to
awesome.
it. I mean, there's even more layers here to even unpack because again, like after okay, so you have a shiny demo. We talked about those two aspects that I mentioned before, the, crisp problem and then evaluation set. Now there's the whole path, as a technical leader, navigating cross-functional relationships to get it to the end line because when you're deploying in enterprise. Okay, when you're deploying a demo, you don't have that much oversight. You're just showing a demo to a few people. When you're talking about
Yeah.
deploying to enterprise, you're now thinking of sending something to customers. Now you need a lot of guardrails. You basically need to co-create this with several other functions, right? You have to
Hmm.
get ethics involved. There's security to take into account. There's legal to take into account. There's the product owner, right? The PM. You have to work with them. There's the product engineers, right? That you have to work with. So it's so much more than just training a model in the enterprise. Training a model will get you a demo. Then it's all the other work that we just talked about that really makes it to the finish line.
That's certainly nobody talks about that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I think we're going to see more and more of this. I hope we'll see more and more of this talked about because, I hear a lot. We all hear so much about, why are demo. I think there was everyone is citing that MIT study. 90% of
Yeah.
AI agents are failing. AI
95,
agents,
yeah.
yeah, 90, yeah. So I think we're going to see more and more of that. I think people are excited about being able to build demos like with technology being even more accessible with Cursor and Lovable and all these amazing tools. Everyone is making demos, but I think we're getting to a point where we really want to bring this value to customers. And so I hope we hear more and more about these nuances. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And so what sort of profile of people do you have on your team? Like who do these people on your team look like?
Yeah. So I have some research scientists. Now, research scientists is an interesting profile. Typically, they have PhDs.
Hmm.
But what I like to share with folks is that you don't necessarily need a PhD to do research. I always like to share that. A PhD is just a very common way to demonstrate the skill. It's just that if someone who has done a PhD has spent 5 years creating new things and they have papers to demonstrate it. So it's just it just shows that have the skill of research. There's other ways to show that skill though. So I'd like to throw that out there because I want to make sure everyone knows that these roles are accessible and
Hmm.
the core skill that we look for when we're hiring a researcher is the ability to create new things. And so creating new things could be creating a cool open source repo or cool tool that gained traction that really made an impact. That also could be a valuable way to show you have that skill. There's other ways to show you have that skill. So anyway, so my team has, I would say, a majority of research scientists, but I do also have machine learning engineers as well. And this profile is heavier on the product engineering side.
Hmm.
So this profile is still involved in research, but probably more involved in deployment and products that are leading directly to deployment. Yeah.
Got it.
I think
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Sravi.
I was going to ask from education perspective, these are
Yeah.
the titles, right? Let's say a newer, like someone who is doing their master's is interested in
Yeah.
these. What do you think they should be studying in today's day and age? Computer science, data science, computer science with ML as a background? Like, what other profiles do you think they could have, come from?
Yeah. So in this case, are you saying they have a master's or they're going into a master's and
If they're going into
or what do you think?
master's or maybe a bachelor's, just trying to understand their
Yeah.
educational profile as well, along with the
Sure.
titles.
Sure. Yeah, I think that I think that the bachelor's and masters, you know, typically it's computer science, math, physics. Any of those are fine because I don't think those are the biggest part of they're needed. They're needed, right? But it's it's necessary, but it's not sufficient, right? So
Hmm.
you learn a lot in school. So definitely having an education is great. I would say the real key of what we look for in addition to having solid computer science or math or physics or AI or data science background would be that experience. And that experience can be demonstrated through projects.
That's true.
It could be demonstrated through internships. It could be demonstrated, yeah, through open source projects, side projects. I think those are really what makes a candidate stand out beyond just having some degrees. Yeah.
Love that. Love that you didn't say experience and stop with another, like a
Yeah.
big tech experience, but it doesn't mean that. It's basically, I keep telling this as well, is when you want to hire someone into a job, you want, especially for slightly, non-intern type of
Hmm.
roles, you want to actually educate them from the get-go on how to do everything, right?
Yeah.
You want them to understand that so that you invest them in like a project level onboarding rather than educational style on.
Yes.
So
Yes.
if they get that
Yes.
skill set from
Yes.
any type.
Yes.
Could be working at tech, could be themselves working on their own
Yes.
project, could be them founding something themselves,
Yes, absolutely.
It could
It's
be
all
anything.
then that counts. That's total those are totally valid ways. I will say though, I mean, there's a reason why people go and get a PhD and go get a master's and do internships because the nice thing is those are relatively structured. That's the truth, right? It is a structured way to get that experience. If you're not, but what I'm trying to say is that if you don't do those, then you do need to be a little bit creative, right? And finding a way to demonstrate. So there's an advantage to having that structured experience. If you're not choosing that route, then what are the ways to demonstrate? As we mentioned, and maybe you guys even have more ideas, but for me, I've seen compelling open source projects that they built from scratch that have traction. I've seen compelling side projects, like very compelling, not like a 2-week side project. I mean, like, I don't know, like you have to be creative if you're not going to go a structured route. Yeah.
Totally agree. The 2-week side projects are great, probably
Yeah.
to learn, a skill or something,
Yeah.
but not to help you probably do the job
Right.
as a researcher or an MLE or something like from the
Yes.
get-go, right? It helps you probably. It's better than not
Yes.
doing it. But the
Yes.
most important part is this 3-month long, 6-month long projects that would mimic almost something that you would do
Yes.
as an employee or
Yes.
company.
Yes. Yes, exactly. So another way I've seen people get that experience is I've seen this with undergrads actually. While you're in undergrad, if you can find a professor who you could work with, like, and your professors always have projects ongoing, even if you're just playing a role helping a grad student. That's that you now have experience that looks like a grad student that helps you. So you have to find all these different sideways. It's possible. Yeah.
Nice.
Totally true.
Very cool. That's awesome. I think these are really good nuggets for at least, especially our kind of earlier tenured listeners and viewers
Yeah.
who can really think about how they want to break in and hopefully at some point maybe able to join Shelby, your team or something.
Yeah, absolutely. I have some other advice I'd love to give. I would love to give for folks who
Yeah,
are early
please.
career and new. Yeah. One other thing I want to mention that I've gotten so much value out of, so that's why I want to share it. In addition, of course, you need these technical skills. So this is all important. But I don't want people, especially us technical folks, because I know exactly how this is. I don't want us to forget about building our networks and building our networks of people, of hiring managers, of people who could actually hire you, of people who are actually doing the work in the space. So I want to emphasize that as well in your journey as an early builder. Yes, go deep on the technical skills. We love doing that. Don't forget the network. And one of my biggest pieces of advice for building the network, I would say, is attending conferences. And I want to share 2 different types of conferences that I think early builders in AI will benefit from. The first are what are called, academic conferences. These are conferences like NeurIPS, ICML, iClear. There's a number of academic conferences, and at these conferences, you'll hear a lot of talks from researchers talking about what they're thinking about. You'll see what's top of mind in the research community, which is good for your career to know what's top of mind. But these conferences also feature pretty much every tech company. Every tech company has a booth there. And so it's also a good way to chat with representatives from every company, see what they're working on, see what they're hiring. You can build your network at these academic conferences. Now, the other type of conference I also like to recommend are industry conferences. So we're here in Silicon Valley. Almost every week there's an industry conference, and similar idea. Lots of tech companies are represented there, so you can meet people who actually work at the companies. You can meet people, build your network there. You'll also meet people who are actively, active researchers, active engineers in the companies, and you can learn more about what they're doing day to day. So don't forget this aspect. This is really important. Sometimes you find out about opportunities just by meeting the right people. So I think these are 2 really good directions to keep in mind.
Totally agree. And another part about conferences is that you meet people like you, and guess what? You'll end up at a job somewhere. You're going to end up at a job somewhere. I know it feels like eternity today when you're searching, but
Yeah.
you will end up at a job somewhere. All the people that you meet as part of this will end up at a job somewhere.
Yep.
And you eventually will need both of your help as you move on in your careers too.
Exactly.
So it's very important to have that peer network while
Yes.
also the network that's, slightly seniors, like, seniors
Exactly.
in the network. So you would benefit from all all types of network.
Exactly. I mean, and again, that's how me and you met, Shravya. We met at a conference.
That's so true.
Like, you definitely want to put yourself out there at these conferences. Yeah, you'll meet some great people.
I think a story for our audience is we actually found a lot of our guests through these networking events, conferences, and
Oh,
just
nice.
serendipitous meetups and whatnot.
Yeah.
We've had pretty pretty well-known famous folks on the podcast as well. That's people have been asking us for like, hey, what's your secret sauce? How do you get guests? It's like, well, it's not super secret.
Yeah. Totally.
What a wonderful thing about networking. Irrespective of where you are in your career, it's going to benefit you. You're earlier, it benefits you for the reasons Shelby and I mentioned. Later, like Shelby and I get benefit from it for these reasons. And as you get, senior, that's
Yeah.
your impact, what you could share as when you speak at an event and things like that. So networking,
Yeah.
I would say, is like the bread and butter of
Yeah.
work.
And also, I will say to give folks some hope in this, because I know what it's like to be early career and just start networking. It's a little bit, if you're introverted or you're not used to doing this, it seems daunting. I wanted to share with everyone, it actually gets easier. Just so you know, like, networking now for me is so much easier than it was when I was first starting. You just have to get some practice in. Eventually you get eventually doesn't feel like such a task anymore. You'll
Yeah.
find your own way. So I want to encourage everyone to take that first step, put yourself out there. It will get easier as you do it.
Yeah, totally. Cool. That's awesome. I want to switch gear a little bit to talk about sort of like the future of, I guess, number one, AI, obviously. Number
Yeah.
two, also like the skills and knowledge that's needed to sort of like, be able to adapt to changes.
Yeah.
So the landscape in AI
Yeah.
is changing so fast. How do you keep your team sort of like stay adaptable to new breakthroughs and stuff, especially when you're kind of working in the forefront of everything?
Yeah, it's challenging. It's challenging. I think we're in a place right now where you just have to be agile. I think, one thing that's not going to change is that, the work we're doing is to benefit our customers, is to do the best we can for our customers. That is never changing. But to your point, the AI landscape, there's all these every week there's a new model, right? So we try, as we're developing our projects, as new models arise, we may try to plug in new models and do experimentation constantly. But
Yeah.
I don't think there's really a solution here. I think the key is, the North Star is to deliver the best for the customer, and doing that means that we need to stay agile. That's what that means. And yeah, I'm not sure there's a solution here. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, cool. I mean, what you just said is actually pretty powerful, honestly. It's like when I was more junior, I would
Yeah.
always let's call it shit on visions and missions and kind of like
Oh,
our
yeah,
true
yeah.
north and things like that. Like I was always like, hey, that's just corporate talk. Why do we
Yeah.
care? But being a leader now, it's like these are so important. It's like
Yeah.
if we can focus everyone, like I repeat this the data team's mission every other week. And
Yeah.
just so that people understand or can recite what the ultimate goal is, so that they're not
Yes.
pigeonholed into, oh, I need to get GPT 5.1 so
Yeah,
that
exactly.
I'm the best at this. That's not the point. The point is to help
Yeah.
people make informed decisions. That's it. Like nothing more than complicated than that.
Yep, exactly.
It's so funny how this basic thing doesn't get to you. Like, I'll be honest, I didn't know about this as much as how much I know about it today. Maybe I'll know about it even more later. Like the importance of clear business, like, change or impact, irrespective of how you got to it.
Yeah.
Right. And it doesn't have to be, yes, science is evolving, like technology is evolving. And yes, most of the recent technology would mean good business impact, but not always.
Yeah.
Though going for that and learning new technologies is very important to understand what others are talking about, even though you're not exactly working on the
Yeah.
tech, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like the technology is a means to the end, right? The technology is not the end itself. And a lot of us, especially, I mean, I was there too, right? Like, especially my background coming as a PhD, where all of almost my identity was based in what I could build, right? It's hard, but once you become a leader and you kind of get the 10,000-foot view, it's clear that the technology is a means to the end.
Yeah. I think the practical advice for the audience is just be very clear about the thing that they're solving for, and the rest will kind of come around to themselves based on the need at the moment. Like, if honestly models from 2 generations ago works just as fine, like why would you need to spend more time trying to optimize for that last 0.1%?
Oh yeah, we have real cases of that too, for sure. We have real use cases where the older models are better for whatever specific reason. So that's real.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, another future-looking question for you. What does the future hold for AI roles and AI teams in your view?
I think we're going to start to see more interdisciplinary collaboration. I think this is going to be extremely important for a number of reasons. I think that, I mean, we're already seeing this, but I think the whole point of AI, again, these models, is to deploy them to customers to discover new use cases. I think this is not just about model builders anymore. It's about model builders plus folks who can help with discovery, plus folks who are domain experts who can actually help maybe fine tune the model or train the model to be specific for the domain. I think we're going to see increasing interdisciplinary collaboration to make impact.
Got it.
Yeah.
It's almost like, sorry, go ahead. Hi.
No, go ahead, Shelby.
No, I was trying to think, right? So imagine if you're a pharmaceutical company and you're basically hiring for a pharmacist or researcher in pharmacist. And now let's say the work that they were going to do would benefit from having an agent help with, then you would need, like, someone with that background and domain knowledge that works with the technology and all of that. It was already happening with software to some extent.
For sure, yes.
Like, we were having software developers work in health industry and stuff, but in those places it was more, probably the handoff was more clear. There was a clear boundary. They create the technology or software and they use it. But now even the usage part is also being done by technology with LLM, right?
Yes, that's true. And to add on top of that, it's new technology for all of us. Like, we're all trying to figure this out, right? No one has on their resume AI agents for 10 years. It's new for all of us. So we're all figuring it out.
Why do you see that, Shelby? I still see job posts asking for 10 years.
Yeah, job posting 10 years of agent experience.
That's hilarious.
I remember the early days. Wasn't that the meme where people found like job postings that says like LM experience for 5 years, and people were like, it doesn't even exist for that long. What are you looking for?
Yeah.
They basically copy pasted the template and just changed the role name with some skill set. Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
So, Shelby, when you say interdisciplinary, that's almost like as cross-functional as it gets, right? Like, the roles are going to be blended. People are going to have the skills, or with the help of AI, is going to have the skills needed where traditionally they might not have. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I mean, kind of similar to Shravia's example. I think, for example, to deploy, say, this pharmaceutical example, it's not just an ML team that's needed. We're gonna need some pharmaceutical experts, however we want to define that. Experts at maybe a pharmaceutical person who's expert at dealing with the customers to actually help get the model to be effective. That's the key, right? To bring models from generic AI to effective AI requires, I think, interdisciplinary people to jump in, and there's a number of ways practically that happens, right? It's, maybe they're giving feedback for the reinforcement learning step. Maybe they're helping design training data. Maybe they're actually annotating data. Maybe there's a number of ways that that sort of wisdom gets injected. But yeah, I think that it's ML teams plus other interdisciplinary folks.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So Sean, our other co-host, and I work at a legal tech company, and we've got lawyers in-house to do a lot of labelings and stuff. So
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
totally
Yeah.
resonates.
Exactly.
I mean, it's so nuanced. Like mortal beings, non-lawyers, have no clue what the differences are. Like we can't, we don't
Exactly.
see it. We just don't see it. Like to us, it would
Exactly.
be perfect precision, like 100%
Yeah.
precision. But it's like, well, it's a little slightly nuanced here, and I'm like, okay, can't read it.
And that makes all the difference between a generic solution and a solution that really gains that really hits, right?
Yeah,
That's the context any LLM or SLM would need, that it's not available, right? In the, like, in its training, it needs that context, it needs that, and
Yeah.
that's why the interdisciplinary aspect is the most important aspect.
Yeah.
You want this to work
Yeah.
and apply.
Yeah.
nice.
Exactly.
Shelby, in terms of sort of like the future AI direction, what are you seeing there? Is it the getting agents to be as good as human? Is that kind of like the thing that you think is gonna be the kind of like the focus of where things
Mm,
should be headed?
yeah. I don't know if I would frame it that way. I think getting agents to actually perform consistently well in business tasks across the industry. I'm not just talking about Salesforce. I'm talking about what customers need for Salesforce, but across the industry. I think that's where we're headed in the next 6 to 12 months, I would say. And I think, yeah, even that, I mean, that's just another example of what we just talked about, that, for, say, a marketing agent to make that really focus, is we need that interdisciplinary team to really build it and train the model. So I think we'll see that. I think that what we didn't have before that we're starting to build are agent benchmarks. I think we're already at Salesforce, for example, we've released a lot of these completely open source. For example, we released a CRM benchmark. So it actually, a benchmark on realistic CRM cases that you could test your agent on. We need to be able to measure agent performance before. Otherwise, how do we improve something we can't measure, right? So we need these different directions of measurement. So I think we'll continue to see that in the next 6 to 12 months. That's really going to fuel agent improvement. Now, looking past that, we're already actively working on this, but I think in terms of when it's really going to come to market, I think we're going to start to see embodied agents, right? So
What does
yeah. So right now, if we think about AI agents, they're working in the virtual world, right? They're able to maybe navigate your web page, navigate Salesforce, do things in Salesforce, do things in whatever virtual environment.
yeah,
But imagine the brain, right? The LLM and the whole system that powers the agent is now powering a physical embodiment. So now it's powering a robot. It's powering
robotics?
a car. I mean, I guess, autonomous vehicles is an example essentially of a embodied agent. But I think what we'll see is different embodiments. So more drones emerging, more robots emerging, but powered by essentially the same technology that's powering the AI agents in our virtual worlds. So I think that's a direction we're just hitting on at Salesforce. We're starting to think about this, but I think we're going to see more and more of this come to market in the next year or two.
I think that's the next technology leap or shift that we'll see probably.
Yeah.
Like how we had this ChatGPT movement. When was this? 2021, 2022? We had
2022,
that
yeah, November.
Yeah.
2022, right? The ChatGPT movement of, oh my God, I could talk to it. It's acting
Yeah.
like another person sitting on the other side. I think that robotic movement will happen probably in a few years from now, where,
I think so too. We have a lot of work to do. I think for robotics, it's a very hard problem.
I
It's a
agree.
very hard problem. Navigating the 3D world is harder than navigating the virtual world. I think we have a lot of work to do, but I think we can do it. I just think so I agree with you. It might take a few years for things to for that moment to really arrive. Just like for ChatGPT.
Yes.
Leading up to ChatGPT, there was GPT-3 that was pretty awesome. There were all these other signals that something is coming. I think we're seeing the same thing. Like, we're seeing all this great robotics research. You're seeing all these great startups emerge that are doing impressive things. I think there's going to be like a boom moment too in very soon that's going to really shift things like ChatGPT did.
Wow. Then ours will be the first podcast that talked about it. I'm kidding.
Yeah, exactly. We'll coin it here. Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that we were able to kind of touch upon this from people like you, Shelby, who's at the forefront of it. So thank you so much. And I think this is probably a good place to end. And thank you so much again for coming on. For people who wanted to connect with you or kind of follow along your work, where can people find out more about you?
Totally. LinkedIn. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to meet new folks. I'm also on Twitter as well. So those are the best two places to reach me.
Awesome.
Nice.
We'll link them in our podcast. So people please look out for them. And I think whenever you speak, you probably share about that in your LinkedIn as well, Shelby. Like you're going to speak at certain events and stuff.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I do. Yep. I usually post where I'm speaking and what I'll be talking about. So yeah, maybe we'll even meet in an event here in Silicon Valley. Yeah.
Yeah. Shelby gives great talks. So you all look out for that.
Thanks so much.
That's awesome. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. For our viewers, if you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe and leave any comments you have for Shelby or us as co-host. We'll get to every single one of them. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.